Well, for more on this story, we can speak to Bobby Sayyid. He's an author and academic on post-colonialism and critical Muslim studies at the University of Leeds in the United Kingdom. Bobby Sayyid, thank you for joining us here on TRT World. How do you see the next days and weeks playing out here in Turkey?
Well, I think there are a number of things which will happen. I think firstly, there needs to be a reckoning of what actually happened, full investigations, and that's an ongoing process. But I think secondly, more importantly, there is now already a concern that there's an attempt to try and determine what kind of democracy Turkey is, what democracy should be. And I think there's a lot of international pressure that only they can decide what is democratic or not. And I think this is really an opportunity for the Turkish authorities to start asserting the possibility of being robust electoral processes which are free and independent. So I think there's a lot of developments which are going on there. The biggest thing is an opportunity to try and really heal society, bring things together, and recognize that Turkey has to go forward together.
What do you think what happened on Friday tells us about democracy here in Turkey?
I think it tells us that what people used to say, that Islam and democracy are an impossibility, is in fact proven to be a necessity. That I think there is no way that you can argue that Muslim societies cannot be democratic. And I think the fact that so many people took to the streets, risked their life and limb in favor of that principle, goes to show that the people's will needs electoral mechanisms to have it expressed. And I think the reason the coup collapsed was because the military was unable to succeed in representing themselves as being the guardians of the people or the nation at large. And that guardianship now belongs to the people and their elected representatives. And I think that's a decisive and a very welcome development.
And Bobby, the international community, what do they need to do in terms of showing support or support for Turkey?
Well, I think one thing they need to do is stop trying to lecture Turkey about what is, how it should be democratic or not. I mean, you have to understand that many of these governments who are now talking about Turkey not taking action, what would they do if their parliament had been bombed by their own military? What would they do if they suspected that there was an existence of a deep state? So I think all of these issues need to be taken into account, and they cannot tell the Turkish population and the Turkish people how they should be democratic. But they are democratic, but they will be democratic in a way that aligns with Turkish developments and Turkish needs and necessities.
And Bobby, finally then, how do you see the next few months for the Turkish president? Obviously, with the quashing of the coup, he's now in a much stronger position than he was a couple of days ago.
I think he's definitely in a more stronger position, and it gives him an opportunity to actually bring about something which is much more lasting and robust, which means getting all sections of civil society to come to an agreement that the only way of transferring authority and power in Turkey has to be an electoral route, which means reaching out to the other parliamentary parties and saying that, you know, you may disagree with the government's policies on this or that issue, but what is more important now is to accept the principle of electoral legitimacy, and that there is no place for the deep state or for the military or for anyone else in Turkish politics. It has to come through the ballot box. And I think that's a really important thing, and I think the president has a good position to drive that message home now.
Absolutely. Okay, well, Bobby Sayyid there from the University of Leeds, thank you for joining us on TRT World.